let's dive into the best time of the week, my friend. First off, let me say this. Kid hit big on the Broncos last night, and I felt real good about it. Real good about it. I mean, 2.5 was ridiculous, okay? 2.5 was ridiculous. Shouldn't have been that spread. Should have been like 11. What are we doing here? But shout out to the Denver Broncos, Brad, and just keeping my DraftKings. At this point, I don't want to say adding bucks to the pocket. It's just keeping the DraftKings count alive. That's what it's doing, is keeping me from having to awkwardly pull the wallet out and then take the debit card out and punch in the numbers on the back because I don't remember them in front of everybody. And that's just demoralizing. So shout out to Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the Broncos too, so I was very happy to see it. And honestly, I was on the Broncos in my Pick'em league as well, and everybody else was on the Saints. So it's always nice to go into the weekend with a nice pad there.
That's crazy, actually, that people took the Saints. That doesn't make any sense to me. All right, let's dive into the best time of the week. Our predictions: Week 7, Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, Russell Wilson, George Pickens, and company. What do we got? I don't even got anything else. What do we got?
We got a Steelers underdog opportunity on Sunday.
Really?
The Steelers at DraftKings Sportsbook are home dogs plus 1.5 in this one to the 2-4 New York Jets. The over-under sits at 38.5. So we are firmly in the 30s once again for Steelers over-unders, but 1.5 point dogs going into Sunday.
What was the over-under?
38.5.
Yikes. 1.5 point dogs to the 2-4 Jets. I understand Vegas knows things that nobody else knows. I understand that the Pittsburgh Steelers have not been uber impressive this season. You don't look at them and say, man, these guys are phenomenal. They are the best 4-2 football team on the planet. You don't say any of those things. You say they're very lucky to be 4-2. I'm glad that they're 4-2. I'm very happy. As a Steelers fan would sit there and say, very grateful for 4-2. Thank you. The Jets are bad. Like, let's not sit here and act like the on paper, the Jets are great. Okay.
Yeah.
As a team, the Jets are not playing well. I mean, their wins are against the New England Patriots and the Tennessee Titans.
I would argue their losses also aren't as bad as a lot of people say they are.
I would argue the Bills are not as bad as a lot of people say they are. Who else have they lost to?
The undefeated Vikings in London.
San
Francisco on the opener on the road.
Wait. Can I stop you with the Vikings, though? Because I agree with that one, but Aaron Rodgers threw 2 interceptions to end that game. So is that still a bad loss? Even if on paper compared to what it was?
I mean, let me kind of give you this one. Justin Fields had a snap go off his face mask. Otherwise, they would have probably beat the Colts. Is that still a bad loss?
Yes. They lost to the Colts. That's a bad loss.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not a good.
And by your logic, then there you go.
Yeah, it's not a good loss. It's not a good. And even Dallas. I would say Dallas is a bad loss because Dallas is a bad football team, and Justin Fields won that game, and then you lost on a last-second touchdown. That's a bad loss. That's a bad loss. But I hear what you're saying. Their losses are not terrible. I still think the Jets. My thing is, if you could get it into crunch time, I don't trust Aaron Rodgers to go win you a football game. Maybe I do more so with Davante Adams, but this season, Aaron Rodgers cannot do it. I mean, 2 out of those 4 losses, he threw a game-sealing interception.
Yeah,
and both times blamed the wide receiver. Like, maybe it's you, pal. Maybe there's a correlation here to the same factor. I just maybe, and maybe not. I don't know. But to say I threw a no-look pass and the guy ran the wrong way, maybe if you looked, different situation. I'm just saying. Where we stand. I'm not trying to put down Aaron Rodgers. I still think he's Aaron Rodgers, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I was just going to say at the end of the day, he is Aaron Rodgers. And if he hasn't done it this season, doesn't mean that he's incapable. And that's where I kind of get iffy on, I don't trust Rodgers to do that. It's like, just because he hasn't done it in the Jets uniform doesn't mean he hasn't done it on multiple occasions. He also always has that Hail Mary in his back pocket too, that he did again last week.
Which is unreal. And trust me, I know. I'm well aware. I grew up with my brother being a Packers fan. I know. I watched Aaron Rodgers do some despicable things to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. Some very, very terrible things. You sound like you might be leaning one way. So with that, I will toss it to you before I give you my prediction here. Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Jets, 1.5 point dogs. Kind of feels like I know where you're going with this, but I'll let you take the floor here. What do you got?
Yeah, I definitely have the under at 38.5, and I think the under is going to be not a sweat at all in this one. I think this is going to be a defensive battle. I think both offensive lines leave a lot to be desired, not to kind of talk trash to Ryan McCollum. I thought he played well last week, but you're starting Ryan McCollum next to a rookie in Mason McCormick, and we can go down the line of all the injuries the Steelers are facing. Jets offensive line isn't that good either. So you look at these two defensive fronts, I think it's going to be a ground, slow, grinding, field goal type of game. And unfortunately, with the Steelers, I think coming up with a slow start because of Russell Wilson kind of needing to knock the rust off, I have them falling behind early and just not able to get over that hump against the Jets defense. I have the New York Jets taking this one 17-13.
Basketball season is right around the corner, and there are few live events that make you feel as in the moment. And I get it. Football season is probably one of them where you feel like you're there. You're part of the action. Well, let me tell you about Game Time and how Game Time has this new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I decided to jump on and see what Pittsburgh Steelers versus New York Jets tickets look like in primetime. And it took me 3 seats before they hit me with a great deal, telling me that not only are these probably the cheapest, but for the view, they may be the best deal that anybody can offer. Let me walk you through a couple of really nice things about Game Time. First, priority. Game Time Picks curates to make it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. They give you all-in pricing, which means that this feature shows you the total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout, because that is the absolute worst thing about buying tickets. They give you seat views because nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to show up not knowing what their view of the stadium is going to look like. The lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, and Game Time ticket coverage, which means that your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code ALLSTEELERS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code ALLSTEELERS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. That is just an awful Sunday night football game.
Oh, trust me, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but all week I've been looking at this and saying it's going to be defensive. I understand that, Rodgers got Davante Adams, and that might help a little bit, but I still think the Steelers defense is in a position to have a really good night. So I don't think the Jets are going to light it up, but I also don't know if the Steelers are going to light it up either. So it's not going to be a fun one if this comes to pass, but unfortunately, that's just the way that I feel like it's going to run down.
That would be a tough one. I think there are two sides to this. I think people will say, well, Russ is going to do so much good for the Steelers offense. Possibly, very possibly, but he also, barely practiced, almost no training camp, no in-game action besides 6 snaps for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Cordero Patterson scored on that opening drive. So it wasn't Russell Wilson putting in the work out there. Just saying. And then on the other side of it, people will say, well, Davante Adams is back. Aaron Rodgers is back. They haven't played together in 3 years. It was 3 years in Achilles ago. That changes things. Life comes at you fast. You just have no idea. I'll look at it and say, I honestly, I think the thing I disagree with you most about this game is the under. I think that one is where I think I find the biggest difference here is I see 38.5 and go, no chance these teams don't score 20 points. At least one of them doesn't score 20 points. And I don't expect this to be a blowout by no means. There's no chance if this looks like a blowout, Justin Fields finishes the game. Like you can't be down 2.5 touchdowns at halftime or 3 touchdowns at the end of the third quarter. And everybody look at Mike T like, dog, you made this call. You like, what are you doing? I just don't think you could do that. And I don't think that's going to happen. But that's kind of where I'm getting at here is I just have a hard time saying nobody's going to score 20 points.
Okay.
That's where I think I disagree with you the most. The Jets winning I could get on board with, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
Because I'm all about the bumps. I'm all about the bumps all week long. We're going bump city the last 2 weeks. And because this is the end of the bump. This is it. We're week 7 at this point until people start firing coaches. Who cares? So I look at this and go, Russell Wilson's going to have some spark. And I'm following narratives of different teams and where we go. And the NFL seems different this year. In years past, it was you make a quarterback change, man, big things are coming. Aaron Rodgers and this team, they changed quarterbacks, or they changed offensive coaches, or just coaches in general, and then offensive coordinators, and they're ready to go. Like they should be winning. But across the board, this is an NFL right now that no matter what you're doing, it kind of stays stagnant, stays at where we're at. There's no roller coaster ride to be ridden by anybody unless you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, which shout out. I look at this and say, if the Steelers can put up 23 points, you probably win this game. And that's not easy. But if I had to put defense against defense here, which is where I'm going, I think I'm trying to eliminate myself of Russ versus Aaron, which is what everybody will talk about, and go defense versus defense. I have more faith in the Steelers defense than I do most defenses in the NFL. And everybody's healthy. You got DeMonte KZ back. You got Alex Highsmith back. Kind of feels like they'll have an upper hand in this one. And I think that they'll hold the Jets to where the Jets need to be held for Russ to do things. And I just can't. Like, there's no part of me that thinks that Russell Wilson can score 14 points in this game and everybody can just be okay with it. I can't. Like, you can't do that. So I'm going to put my faith in the defense, and I'm going to put my faith in Mike Tomlin's decision-making here, which I'm very critical of Mike Tomlin on this show, but I will put my faith in that guy because he has won football games, many of them in the past, and sometimes you just got to listen to him. I'll go Pittsburgh Steelers 23, New York Jets 17 in this one. A Russell Wilson victory in the fourth quarter, and the Pittsburgh Steelers defense don't lose another one on a last second touchdown here. Although the Hail Mary could be dangerous, but hopefully they avoid that. Outside of that, I'm going 23-17. That's how I feel about this one.
I like it. I mean, the golden rule. TJ Watt says, give me 20 plus points offense, and then we can get this done on the defensive side of the football. If they get 20 plus points, I mean, we both predicted 17 points for the New York Jets. So, I mean, that's where we think that Jets offense is against the Steelers defense. The only thing that we disagree with is what Russell Wilson's offense is going to be able to do against the Jets in Russ's first start as a Pittsburgh Steeler. So I like your golden rule. I like the 20 plus points gets the job done on most games for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And like I said, I'm hoping you're right. I don't want to be right in this instance, but the gut feeling is 17-13 for me. But I do like Sunday night where the Steelers put up 20 plus on the Jets and Russell Wilson walks off the field with that glorious throwback jersey on, and the Steelers are 5-2.
Shout out. I hope so too. Because there's few things worse than a bad Sunday night football game. And when you're there, like, I get it. I'm like, I shouldn't be complaining about this, and I'm really not complaining about this. But the problem is that I stuff my face before the game because they feed you so much food and so many desserts, and I got a sweet tooth. It's bad. That if it's not exhilarating, I'm getting tired. I'm getting sleepy, and I got to be there. I mean, the game ends at midnight. I'm there till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Like, just you get a little tired, man. You need some adrenaline. Wake you up a little bit. Get things. That shout out to the Dallas game for doing that to me at 1 in the morning. Just hit you with that little boost of oomph right at the end. Got you going.